Hey everyone. So what we're going to do in this video is do a quick demo of our mission control assignment. And the goal of the video is to go through the assignment as well as to kind of talk about some of the concepts in After Effects, such as composition, layers, and timeline. All right, so with that context, let's begin. So what is a mission control room? You might have seen it in a lot of space movies or action movies, such as Independence Day, Apollo 13, or even the Jason Bourne movies. It is where there's a large room with enormous monitors and people are trying to solve an issue or chase down the bad guys. And it's usually a very exciting, fun room. And we're going to kind of replicate that in our exercise here. So as a setup, we need some source files. So right now we are looking at Photoshop, where I've already created two files for you guys, and they make up the foreground and the background of the control room. So this is the foreground with the people and their smaller computers in the foreground, and in the background is essentially just a gradient of the wall where it's going to hold the huge monitor, the flat screen monitors. So these two files will be attached to the assignment, so you can find them there. And then we're also going to use some video footage. And these video footage, I'm going to show you kind of my folder here. These video footage, these ones over here, are found in websites that give us royalty-free footage. So there's no copyright, we're all good there. And I've listed the where we can find these in one of our lessons. So refer to that and you'll be able to find a lot of cool footage from there that you can use. And then as you can see, I've also got an image folder where I have placed the two files that I've exported for you guys here. So now that we've got our source files ready, we're gonna go into After Effects. All right, so now that we're in After Effects, the first thing I'm gonna do is drop in all my source files. So if I go back to the folder that I've had, I'm going to drop in, first of all, my foreground and background image. I'll drag them in and put it in the project panel here. And then I'm also going to go into my videos. And I found these, again, on the websites. They're all keeping with the theme of kind of Jason Bourne movies. They're all like nighttime city movies, clips of nighttime cities. So I'm going to drag those and put them in the project folder also. So with all the source materials that I think we need for this project ready, I'm going to start by creating our composition. So we know that we want our file to be as big as our background. So what we can do is actually drag that file into this icon here, where it looks like a film clip, which is the shortcut for composition. So if I drag that file here, it will create a composition based on some of the settings from my background image. So if I go there, actually I'm gonna close this one out because I don't need this anymore. Go back to the composition. I've now created a composition called Control Room 01 background. So I'm gonna rename that to just say Mission Control Comp. Just use the full name, composition. So this composition now involves the timeline, which contains the image of the background that we have. And if we want to update, so we have certain requirements for this assignment for the composition as listed on our assignment space. So I'm going to go into composition setting to make sure we have those. So first of all, the dimensions. Because we have used the image to create our composition, these are already set for us, which is great. And the frame rate, we want it to be 24 frames a second. If it is not 24 frames for your particular composition, you can always update it. And then for us, we want it to be 6 seconds long. But before we make it 6 seconds long, let's make it, let's say 1 minute long, just because some of the clips we'll see are longer than 6 seconds. So in order to kind of see our other clips, let's change it to 1 minute for now. And this format is actually something called a time code. And I'll probably add a image of it so you guys understand what the time code stands for. And basically it is seconds, minutes, and the format is pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of understanding what it stands for. So now that we have it, we're going to set it to a minute first. So now that we have set the composition to be 1 minute long, now let's go to our timeline. Actually, let's take a look at our project panel. Before we go on, I want to look at our project panel a little bit and organize my files a little bit more. So as you can see here, we've got all the files just kind of laying around in the project panel. I actually want to organize it a little bit more. So what I'm gonna do is create a folder here. I'm gonna call it source files. And what I'm gonna do is just select my video files and my image files. And I can, of course, select one by one. And if I hold down Shift, I can select a whole row of them. And if I hit Command, I'm on a Mac here. If I hold down Command, I can actually skip over some of these and select the last video file, the streetlight.mp4. And then what I can do is just drag that into the source files folder. So now I've got all my source files into one folder, so it's just more organized. And I encourage you to do that for your future projects too, just to keep things organized. And if you want to categorize it a little bit more, you can separate the still images with the videos. But for us this time, I think we're okay with just having everything in the source files folder. All right, and next, I kind of want to go through the timeline a little bit, go through a few things that is on the timeline panel. First of all, we've set our composition to be 1 minute. So as you can see here, it goes from 0 seconds all the way to 1 minute right here. So the timeline reflects that. And as we have gone through when we were setting the composition setting, this is the time code. So as we scrub, you see that the time code here and here would reflect where we're at in the timeline. And we can display this in time and also in frames. And the way to change it is we can go up to here to File, Project Settings, and if we go to Time Display Style, we can change it to frames like this. So if we hit OK, then this timeline will show frames if that's what you want to see on the timeline. But usually I'd say the time is actually easier to grasp. Like it's easier to grasp 30 seconds as opposed to 700 frames. So I'm going to switch it back to time. And instead of going to File Projects, I can also go to here, hit Command on the Mac and click, and it will toggle between time and frames. So you can also do that for your own composition. And also, if you want to kind of scrub the timeline to a specific point, and it's hard to do it with the mouse, you can also kind of go frame by frame. So right now, I want to get to 10 seconds, and we're at like 9 and 12 frames. So what you can do is use the page up and page down button to kind of navigate the frames, the timeline 1 frame at a time. So I can just go frame by frame and go to 10 seconds like that. So that makes it easier too when you want to get down to the details. And then if we want to expand a clip, kind of like our background here, we can also drag it like this so that it goes to the time that we want. And then if we hold down, so let's get back to 10 seconds first. We'll go right to 10 seconds. And then if we want to drag the clip to exactly 10 seconds, we can hold down Shift, and then it will snap to our point in the timeline. So holding down Shift, just like a lot of Adobe programs, holding down Shift allows us to snap to the position that we want. And then, of course, down here is where we can zoom in and zoom out of our timeline. And after we've zoomed to a point and we want to get back to our the frame the timeline based on the length of our composition, we can hit Shift and semicolon, and it would bring us back to kind of our original time frame, which is 1 minute that we've set in the composition. So if you are zooming in and out, and then you're like, all right, I want to go back to where I was in terms of framing the composition, just hold down Shift and semicolon, and it will jump back. That is just a bit of a few shortcuts that will help us navigate the timeline. And then I also want to talk about the composition panel a little bit in terms of zooming out and zooming in. So if you have a free button mouse, you can scroll the mouse to zoom in and out, or you can also use the comma and period keys to zoom in and out. And of course, you can also go to here and adjust your zoom to 25%, or I usually just set it to fit so you can see the whole composition. All right, so now that we've got things pretty much set up, there's one more thing, which is we can set this to, this is kind of the preview quality. So we can set to half so that when After Effects run through things, it'll be a little bit faster. So I usually just set it to half. But if you have a really fast computer, keeping it on full sounds good too. All right, so with everything set up, we are going to start creating our mission control room. So the first thing I'm going to do is drag in our foreground into our composition. So there's a few things to add items to our composition. One is you can just drag it into the composition panel, just like this. And voila, we have it. And the next thing is I'm going to drag in our video clips. So I'm going to pick this video clip, and instead of dragging it to the composition, I can also drag it into the layers within our timeline. So this way I can adjust or decide exactly which layer I want it to be on. So my first clip, I want it to be between the foreground and the background. So I dragged it right in the middle. And the way layers work is just like a lot of other Adobe software, is that the top layer is what shows up first, and then the second layer, and then the third. So for us, the people in the foreground is showing up on top. So let's say if I want to switch it, it will, now our video would cover our mission control people, so which is not what we want. So I'm going to drag it back up, and adjusting the layers or tweaking the layers is super easy. It's just like dragging them to where we want them to be. So now we have our first video clip put into our composition. So I am going to scale this video clip to what I want it to be. So let's say I want to put this clip of the city skyline and put it around here. And what I can do is drag these nodes on the side. I can resize it however I want. And if I want to keep the aspect ratio locked, I can select it. And then once again, hold Shift. So this way is always scaling according to the same aspect ratio. So I kind of like it the way something like this. And then I'm going to drag it a little bit so the person's head is kind of at the edge of it. And I'm going to leave it like that. So I'm going to drag in the other 3 clips. And I'm going to do that all at once instead of one by one. I can select this, and like I mentioned, you can hold down Command and select any other items that you want to drag in. So I'm going to drag that and put it underneath the foreground layer. So now it's behind, they're all behind the people. So now I'm going to go through each one and place them to a place that I like. And I'm doing a very rough job just to go through the demo. But for you guys, feel free to have fun with it, play around with it more, find some fun clips that can make a more interesting composition. So I'm just going to move this a little bit more. I don't like how there's leaving a gap here. I'm going to move this over. I do like how it is behind the, there we go. Actually, this is not bad. And then street lights. And then of course you can play around the layers to see if this is kind of what you want. So this is kind of showing too much of the Chicago skyline. I want to move it back. I'm going to move it actually even further back so I can see more of the streets. And then once I'm like pretty happy with what I'm seeing, I can actually hit the space bar. And you can see the videos are playing. After Effects is putting a lot of this in RAM. And you see that we have different lengths in the video. So as the video finishes playing, then it will just show black. All right, so I think we've got something that that works pretty well. And what I'm going to do is just clean it up a bit. So as per the assignment, we want our composition to be 6 seconds. So I am going to navigate on the timeline to exactly 6 seconds. And what I'm going to do is just drag some of these clips. And this is kind of just cleaning up the whole clip so that they're all 6 seconds long. And sometimes it's not necessary to do this, but I like to just clean everything up so that they're all tidied. So I'm going to move everything just so that they're all 6 seconds long. And then this looks good. And then what I'm going to do also is go back to our composition, right-click composition setting. So instead of setting it to 1 minute, I'm going to set it to being 6 seconds. I'm going to hit OK. And now our timeline is just the 6 seconds that we need for our assignment. So I'm going to hit space again and preview what we have. And it's pretty neat. It's like a bunch of folks in the control room monitoring a city. So now that we've kind of got what we wanted, we're going to render this clip out. So what we're going to do is go to File, Export, Add to Render Queue. So it's going to show up like this. I'm going to keep the default settings. And then I'm going to, what you'll probably need to do is fill in the output, where to output the file. So for me, I've already done it. So there's already a location here, but for you, if you're starting new, it may ask you for the location. So I'm just going to say 01, just to go through the process, hit save. And then once I've done that, I'm going to hit render. And then this is a very short clip, so After Effects does it pretty quickly. And then we're done. And we can navigate to that folder and we will find our file. So this is the file that we exported. We can open it up and take a look. And voila, this is the file that we exported. We've just created very quickly. And so now you can take this file and upload it to your YouTube channel. We have in the lessons, there is there's a quick lesson on how to do that. So follow that lesson, upload your file to the YouTube channel. And then that is the gist of this assignment. So I've done it very quickly and just put some stuff together, but I really encourage you to have fun with this assignment. Find some clips that you really like and maybe change up the foreground and background a bit, have fun with it. And hopefully this will give you a chance to get warmed up in the After Effects user interface, as well as some key concepts such as the composition panel, creating a composition, managing your source files, and of course in the timeline, how to navigate the timeline, and also how layers work within Adobe After Effects. So that is a quick demo again of our assignment. Hope this is useful, and please do let me know if there's any question. And that is it for now. See you all later.